The Secrets of Dumbledore. It's a fine movie. And on this episode of Movie Breakdowns, we're gonna review it. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Zakka. And before I get started, is a movie you want to review, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to as best I can. Also, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Zakka. And for $2 a month, you get a cut in front of everybody because your review out waiting for it to come out on Facebook and YouTube. And you get other stuff like trade reaction, trade reviews, and you get some comment sections and some pretty much talks between me and you. You want to go ahead and talk about movies and discussions on the Patreon. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's episode of the newest fantastic beast, The Secrets of Dumbledore, that came out in the year of 2022. And this review, first half of it is going to be non-spoiler, and the second half is going to be spoiler. Now, what is this movie about? Well, Dumbledore is getting a team together to take on Grindelwald. That is the gist of this movie. And because of the blood pact the two of them have, Grindelwald and Dumbledore, they cannot fight each other. So they gotta pretty much, Dumbledore has to come up with a way to get the team of wizards and witches to defeat Grindelwald and stop him from taking over the wizarding world. That is pretty much the gist of this movie. And the things that I like, the acting. I think the acting is great. I think Jude Law's doing a great job being Dumbledore. Mads Mikkelsen coming in and replacing Johnny Depp. I think he does a great job being Grindelwald. Freaking Eddie Raymond as Newt Scamander is still perfect. I love Eddie Raymond as Newt Scamander. And Dan, who plays Jacob Kowalski, is back, and it's just a pleasure to watch as well on the big screen. And there's a new character named Lally, who is great as well, and I talk about her in the character section. She's in the trailer, but she's also great, and the acting is great. The music is great. The CGI works in this movie. Like, this movie to me is a fine movie. It is long. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes long, and the story is a little bit better than the second one. Not as good as the first one in my opinion, but better than the second one. And this movie it's a fine movie. The likes, like I said, the CGI, the acting, the music is fine, and bits and pieces of the story that I like. The dislike still has to be with the story and the length of this movie. This movie is 2 hours and 22 minutes long, which Marvel could knock it out the park. This movie kind of dragged for me. I watched it in theaters. I remember seeing people get up left and right to maybe go use the bathroom, get something to eat, and come back. This movie drags out a lot of stuff, and I felt like certain places the pacing was kind of off. Like, you was watching it and you kind of get bored and go off and do something else. But the story is another thing. It's not worse than the second one. The second one was all over the place. This story kind of centered it in and give you a few bits and pieces. Like, you're more focused on Grindelwald's takeover. You're more focused on Dumbledore and Grindelwald's relationship they have with each other, and get more into that backstory. And it's more of a Dumbledore story with Newt being there. But Newt has a reason why he's in this movie this time versus the first one, or versus the second one where he just kind of like got pulled into the story. This one, there's a reason why he's here, and he's more of an integral part in this story against Grindelwald. And like, that stuff worked for me, but then some stuff with side characters just didn't work as well for me. The relationship between Queenie and Jacob doesn't really work for me as strongly as it did in the first movie. In the second movie, in the third movie here, it was like, why did we get Jacob again? Why did we bring him back into this movie? Like, why did Queenie turn in the second one? And her impact in this movie wasn't as strong. To me, it's the story, you know, they center it in and they give you more of a focused story versus being all over the place. I feel like it wasn't the strongest, but this is a fine movie. Like, this movie, you're gonna be okay with watching it. You're not gonna be upset, and you're not gonna be disappointed. You're just gonna be like, it's okay. It's a good movie. I'm not upset, I'm not mad, I'm just fine. And that's how this movie feels for me. And the story is part of that, which I'll talk more about in the spoilers section. But the story is one of the main things about this movie that really doesn't really gel with me. Now, there's a lot of political talk in this movie that I do enjoy. I do enjoy the political talk in this movie. It's kind of interesting to see the storyline played out and see like how the wizarding world, not just in England and not just in the United States, but across the world really plays into it. And it's kind of in one of Newt's fantastic beasts that he finds in this movie actually plays another integral part in this movie, which I thought was like, okay, we have the zoologist, the magical zoologist in this movie, and what he does actually does play a role into the final part of this movie, which I thought was great. I think that was kind of neat. And some of the things that Newt Scamander does in this movie is original to me. You see certain storylines that are done in other movies, and then you see it from this version, and I'm like, I like that. That's a nice little play on something we've seen done multiple times. Nice little play on it. Great. I'm fine with that. So this movie got some good pieces, got some bad pieces when it comes to story, and I'm going to talk more about that in the spoilers section. Now let's go ahead and get into the cast, director, and writers. So the director of this movie is David Yeats, who's been working on, I believe, the last two as well, and a few other Harry Potter movies. Writer J.K. Rowling and Steve Kloves. J.K., I feel like when it comes to writing movies, she doesn't have everything there. I'm not a screenwriter by any chance. I can't tell you how it's like to write a movie, but I did write comic books growing up as a kid and write some stories here and there. Now, that stuff's not published, it's not out there, so you can't find it. I want to get back into that, but I feel like J.K., with the 2 hours and 22 minutes, she's doing stuff that didn't really be necessary in this movie. And when certain things happen, you're just like, okay, neat. So, in this movie, I feel like it's here and there, but like also another thing that I guess hits me when it comes to writing this movie is that we already know there's going to be 5 Fantastic Beasts movies. There's already 5 of them. That's planned out. 1 and 2 and 3 are done. So it means we got 2 more movies. And with that, you know that maybe some of the writing of it got to be set up for the next movie. But I just felt like some of the stuff that happened in the second movie and they try to bring it to this movie just didn't pay off well enough. Or certain character motivations just didn't work as well. And you're just kind of like, I don't understand, and why do we care about this? But in certain characters where you do like, okay, this makes sense to me. I'm about this life. So I feel like J.K., she's hit and miss in this movie when it comes to writing. Characters, Eddie Redmayne, who plays Newt Scamander, I think is great. I think Eddie does a great job being Newt, and I think Newt Scamander in this movie is a much better character from his second movie counterpart. In this movie, he is definitely trying to, be more of a focal part and help Dumbledore, who is his friend and his former teacher, take down Grindelwald. And he's more about the action, he's more about the reasons for this movie. Now, some stuff I'm talking about spoilers for the team, for the tag team that gets together for this, but I think Newt Scamander being gung-ho about this in this movie really, really works for me. Jude Law's Dumbledore, I think, is great. Dumbledore in this movie is conflicted on whether or not he want to fight his boyfriend, his ex-boyfriend, and whether or not he wants to go through with this, and the blood pact that popped up in the second movie. Now he's like, how can he take on his ex-lover with this blood pact and trying to work around with that and all the feelings that he has? It works, and as a story, it does work for 2 of the most powerful wizards in this universe. I think it's fine. Ezra Miller, who plays Credence. Ezra Miller looks like a villain in this movie, and that's one of the best things I can give to him. Like, he looks like a villain. And as far as the character of Credence, I felt like this would have been a movie where he should have became the Vader of the story, if that makes sense. The Darth Vader, like he should be the main villain. And he's not. It's Grindelwald, which you all see in the trailers. But I don't know, I thought Ezra was fine. I thought he was fine. The character credence, I just don't care for. I really don't. And I feel like this movie had a chance to make him a character I can be like, all right, I've seen you in 2 different movies. All right, let's get behind you. And I'm just like, yeah, nah. Dan Fogler, who plays Jacob Kowalski, still great. He doesn't need to be in this movie, but I think he is great as a character. And I wouldn't say he's comic relief. Like there's some jokes in this movie, but I got jokes from like things that I laugh at things that like, oh, that's super obvious. That is the bad character. Like Jacob Kowalski put him in that character who make things jokes and could be funny, but at the end of the day, like I don't know, Dan does a great job as Jacob as a character being in this movie. There's probably something for him in the future, but he just keeps coming back, and I'm like, why I keep dragging him back into this? Mads Mikkelsen, who plays Gellert Grindelwald, or Gellert Grindelwald, Mads is great. Mads Mikkelsen is a villain, and he looks like a villain. He plays a villain very, very well, and I think it works in this movie. Mads Mikkelsen and Jude Law as ex-lovers, I think it works for them and their chemistry with each other and how they play off each other, because multiple times in this movie where you see those two talk to each other in this movie, and I think it works really, really well. Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald, as the guy who takes over the world, works for me. He's more of a believable character in this movie. Cullum Turner, who plays Theseus Scamander, I think he's fine. Theseus, he's fine. He's fine. Good job. He does great. Like, he's the older brother to Newt, and him and Newt has a brotherly bond in this movie that plays out more. I think it's fine. I wish they could hit on it more, but I think it's fine. Alison Sudol, who plays Queenie, she's fine as well. Like, I don't think the acting for Queenie is solid. I just feel like from the second movie and what we see in this movie, I'll talk more about the spoilers, it's fine. I don't know, I just feel like Queenie's okay. Jessica Williams, who plays Lally Hicks, phenomenal. I think Jessica Williams, she is to me a very charismatic character in this movie, and she brings charisma to this movie. I think Jessica Williams, I'm glad her introduction came in and she nailed it out the park. Like, anytime she was on screen and anything she said, I was like, yes, eating it up with a bowl of cereal, because like, she is great in this movie, and I wish I would love to have a spin-off with Lally Hicks, like a spin-off movie, or a movie where she's more the focal character, because I enjoyed her so much on the screen. Just the charisma she brought to the table, and the character, and what the character's kind of spunky and a little bit like in your face and kind of like tell you how he is. I thought she was great. Thought she was really great. And I want to see more Jessica Williams in this series. And then last but not least, William Nadilam, who played Yusuf Kama. He's back in this movie. He's in the second one, and he's back in this one, and thought he did fine. Now there's one character that I'm going to talk about that she's been in all the movies. I think she's in the trailer as well, but Poppy Corby Tooch, who plays Venda Rosier. She's like the second-hand man to Grindelwald in this movie, and I don't know. I feel like she didn't have much lines in this movie, but anytime she was on the screen, like, she popped in this movie. Like, I guess she had more screen time than the second movie, but anytime she was on, I was like, I feel like there's a different, like, her charisma shined in this movie. You know, she didn't have much to say. The things she did, I was like, I don't know who this lady is, but she is soaking it up right now. Kind of find out she's in This Is England 90, which she's like, I can't think of the main character's name right now, but she's a girlfriend of the main character at the end of This Is England 90. I was like, oh, I've seen her before. And I didn't know she was in the second movie until I went back and looked at the screen, like some images. But when she's on the screen, she makes sure that her presence is known. Like, her and Jessica are two standouts to me in this movie, because they made sure like they're like going 110% to me. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to Victoria Yeats. I hope I pronounced her name right. It's not, it's Yates, who plays Bunty. She is the assistant to Newt Scamander, and she has more of a bigger role in this movie. I think she does a great job too. The cast, I think, is good. I think the cast in this movie is great. I feel like the acting is top 10, and some of the characters are going 110%. Then the acting is good. Any other thoughts? No, I think I talked about everything I want to talk about. Is this a movie you should see in theaters? Nah, I don't think this is a movie you should see in theaters. Wait for it to come out on DVD or HBO Max or some other form of streaming. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst, and you're not going to walk away like, you probably walk away like, this is a fine movie. This is a fine movie. But you won't be like super disappointed. Not really much in this movie that you can like go off of like, that really outraged me. And then nothing in this movie to be like, this really excites me. It's just like, it's fine. Good moments, bad moments, it's fine. Alright, grading time. I'm going to grade Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore. I'm going to give this movie a C. 75%. It gets a C for me. It's, like I said, I like the acting, I like the CGI, I like the cast and the music, but there are some things in this movie, like story-wise, that don't work for me, and I feel like this movie being 2 hours and 22 minutes kind of drags at certain points. It's up and down as far as pacing, but it's like some story bits to me, I'm talking about them spoilers, just like, that didn't really need to be here, and that worked perfectly fine, and yeah, it's fine. It's a fine movie. Alright, before I jump into spoilers, let's go ahead and look at what IMDb gives this movie. IMDb gives this movie a 6.6 out of 10. That is a D, solid D. And Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a 49%. The critics give this movie a 49%, which is a F. And the audience score give it 82%, which is a B minus. So the audience are different between the critics on this movie. So that's something. Alright, if you've seen The Secrets of Dumbledore, what'd you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, hang around for the spoiler section. Come on, hop into it in 3, 2, 1. Alright, spoiler time. So, the main gist of this movie is that Mads Mikkelsen's Grindelwald is becoming more and more like Hitler. Like, he's convincing people to put him into power via elections, and then once he gets into power, he's going to start the war against the Muggles. Now, the only reason why Jake Kowalski is in this movie is so that when Mads Mikkelsen's Grindelwald becomes in power, he can attack the first human he sees, which is Jacob Kowalski. And Jacob Kowalski gets framed in this movie for a moment to do like to assassinate Grindelwald, when in reality they're trying to stop an assassination from one of the people who was in the election. And when that scene happened where you see like Hooper's trying to kill somebody, the dude looks so obviously like a bad guy, it was laughable. Like, I was laughing at like, this dude is definitely a bad guy. One person wearing eye makeup and looking like a villain. Like, everybody else like looked normal, and this person's like eye makeup and shadow and looking and scrawling and scowling everywhere he goes. I'm like, this is the villain. And there we go. And Lally sees it and she like stops it immediately. Another thing is Yusuf's character in this movie. He joins Grindelwald. For what reason? I don't know. He apparently told the crew, the ragtag team, who is Newt, Theseus, Lally, Jacob Kowalski for some reason, Yusuf and Bunty, they are the ones who have been brought together by Dumbledore to stop Grindelwald. And that Yusuf's like, well, I kind of agree with Grindelwald. Why? He killed your sister. And then in the beginning of the movie, when he confronts Grindelwald, Grindelwald's like, I'll take your memory of your sister away. Goodbye, Lestrange. So that way you don't have to worry about her anymore. And he's like, okay, cool. But you didn't like Credence either, so why didn't you, like, you're gonna try to kill Credence in the second movie, and you see him throughout this movie and you don't do anything, and then at the end of the movie Yusuf turns to the good side again. So he betrays the good guys and turns to the good, and then turns back on the bad guys. And I'm just like, and then like everybody makes this epic moment when he does it. I'm just like, I don't care. Why? It didn't work for me. That storyline for Yusuf did not work for me in this movie. I feel like it was completely unnecessary. Did not need to happen. Credence, by the way, is the background. He's mostly in the background of this movie, except for this one scene where he shows up out of nowhere and starts fighting Grindelwald in Germany. Not Grindelwald, fighting Dumbledore in Germany. And I was like, aren't there people around? People are getting destroyed, buildings are getting destroyed, and then Dumbledore apparently can take people and turn them into a whole nother like realm, like the hyperbolical time chamber, or like how in the Doctor Strange movie we go into the mirror dimension, or not the mirror dimension, but I believe the alternate universe dimension, or the dimension where time stands still and you can fight all you want. Apparently that just happens and there's no explanation to it, and you're just like, how did we get here? How did we get here? Newt Scamander, by the way, beginning of the movie is attacked and hurt, and all of a sudden he wakes up on a train and perfectly fine, except for like wrappings around his hand. How did we get there? This is bits and pieces of this movie don't really explain how we moved certain places and how certain things happen, but it's not as bad as the second one. It's not as like just blatantly in your face as the second one. Like, if you believe that Dumbledore is a powerful wizard, that he can thus change the world around you, make sure like time stands still, where you two can fight in the space of like voidness and have this gigantic battle, which I feel like this movie is trying so hard to reduplicate the Order of the Phoenix scene when Dumbledore fights good old Voldemort. Like, that scene is awesome. That fight scene is awesome, and I feel like all these movies are trying to replicate that moment you get from that movie with the action scenes in this movie, and I feel like they just don't hit as much. Maybe because Credence, who's been told by Grindelwald that he's a Dumbledore and he's gonna fight Dumbledore because he wants to be part of family, so it doesn't really make sense, and Dumbledore can shoot the obscurest creature out of him, and then come to find out that, oh, Credence is dying. And oh, by the way, Dumbledore, your other brother, Alfred Dumbledore, he is the father of good old Credence. So the Dumbledore that we know is actually the uncle, not brother, to Credence. Yes, that is a thing. By the way, Albert Dumbledore, who's played by Richard Coyle, he is the father of Credence, and for the most part of this movie, he's just like a old man who's kind of just upset at life. Like, he just grunts and they're not really open up and everything, not a warm character. And apparently when Dumbledore and Grindelwald was in their relationship, Albert Ford got a relationship with a woman, and that's how you get Credence. And they wasn't supposed to be separated, but he couldn't find his son, and Credence knew who he is, and Credence was like, I just want to come home. Like, why don't you love me, Dad? I'm like, oh, poor Credence. Like, this could have been Credence's villain arc. He could have took over and been like this number 2 to Grindelwald, but no. And then Credence was trying to stop Grindelwald at the end of the movie, and you're just like, why? Because your dad is here now? I don't know. It's some storylines that just didn't work for me. But the things that did work, I do love when Newt Scamander is definitely being like with the creatures and the Fantastic Beasts. There's a scene where he saves Theseus from like a scorpion like crab monster, and he has to like do a little dance with the monsters and creatures to order to like save his brother, and they stop moving, they become like vicious to him. So if he mimics their style and mimics their walk, then they can get free. And Theseus messes up by killing one of them by mistake, and it causes a mama monster to attack. But that was a breakout scene that you see in most movies, a breakout scene. It was kind of neat seeing that breakout scene, the way it was played in this movie. I thought it was kind of cool. The opening of this movie I thought was kind of cool too, with Newt and watching a creature that actually plays an integral part in the movie, a mystical beast kind of thing, save this creature or try to save it, but then all of a sudden Grindelwald's minions attack Newt, and Newt's like, okay, now he's brought into the movie. And Grindelwald's not a good guy either. Like, he is a horrible character. I'll talk about that in a moment. But yes, like, that's how Newt and finds himself as a integral piece of this movie, because Grindelwald is trying to attack a creature that Newt was trying to take care of, and that's considered a very, not holy, but very rare and respectable animal in the magical kingdom. And this animal, if it sees somebody who is considered worthy or of good heart, pure heart, bows to them. And that's how they're going to handle the election. So the head wizard or the prime minister of the wizards in Germany was trying to put Grindelwald in power, and they're going to use this creature to bow to Grindelwald to show that he is the worthy one, and all the wizards are going to agree with him. But Grindelwald kills one of the creatures that can see the future and see who a pure heart is, kills it, so and then brings it back to life, by the way, which I was like, okay, I guess you can zombify stuff in this movie, but we're going with it. And the whole time thinking, like, the prime minister of Germany, the wizard minister guy, he's completely fine with this. Like, and then can find out he's a bad guy too by like the end of the movie. But anyway, I think the Newt Scamander and the Fantastic Beasts stuff still works for me. That stuff I eat up every single time in this movie. I love it. The Credence storyline, like I said, wasn't the favorite thing in the first two movies. It's still just not the thing that works for me in this movie. And the Yusuf storyline doesn't work for me in this movie as well. But the Dumbledore and Grindelwald storyline, I'm about that. Seeing two characters trying to fight each other and conflict with each other. And by the end of the movie, they do fight each other because the blood pact breaks. Because Grindelwald was intent to kill and Dumbledore was intent to save. So therefore it broke the pact. So they could have this mystical battle in this realm again. And then Grindelwald's like, I'm out of this movie. Tina's not here at all, so the love interest for Newt is not in this movie, but she's around like via pictures and stuff like that, and Newt's still trying to reach out to her. And then Bounty, the Newt's assistant, she's in love with Newt, and Newt doesn't see it. Jacob Kowalski's in this movie just for something to, I guess, bring Queenie back to the good side, but Queenie never really loved the good side. I don't really know why she joined Grindelwald, because she sees that he's an evil person. All things he's done been evil, so like, why align yourself? And he was using, and Grindelwald was using Queenie to read Credence's mind, and she could have left, because like when she does leave in this movie, nothing bad happens. Like, they capture Jacob, but like everybody's there to save Jacob, so she could have left, could have escaped any time. I don't see why she stuck around. And yeah, the Queenie storyline wasn't really played out as well. Like, it was almost pointless to have happen. It really was. But the main gist of the story with the Dumbledore and the Fantastic Beasts stuff works. The side stuff doesn't work for me as much in this movie. And the movie does seem long at certain bits and pieces. Trying to think anything else I really want to talk about. I feel like I hit all the main pieces there. Jacob gets a wand, and if you see in the trailer, you think, oh shoot, Jacob will learn magic. He doesn't. He doesn't even know how to use it. And matter of fact, Lally's the one who saved Jacob when he brings the wand out, and she used her magic to try to help Jacob get out. And this movie does a lot of slow motion stuff in this movie. There's so many slow motion bits in this movie that, like, after watching Morbius that came out earlier this month and the slow motion stuff with that movie, I was like, I am so done with the slow motion. Sonic 2 came out, I am done with the slow motion. Every movie right now is using the slow motion stuff that's not necessarily be used in this movie. But whatever, we're gonna use it, we're rolling with it. But other than that, that's my talking points on this movie and my thoughts with far as story. But I think the character and the acting was great, the CGI was great, the music still works. It's a fine movie. At the end of it all, it came down to the average Dumbledore who's like, oh, this is all according to plan, because, by the way, thesis even says, what's the plan here? And there's like, oh no, we'll find a way to confuse Grindelwald so he doesn't be able to stop us. And that doesn't really come to fruition. I guess confusing him by having multiple suitcases of Fantastic Beasts so we can get the pure creature to stop the election, I guess. But I did like the political stuff in this movie. I was down with that, to see like him get into power, how Grindelwald got into power, almost becoming the power, and then the moment he gets into power, he goes, let's attack the Muggles, the war begins today, Kowalski. And you're like, why? Like, I don't know why Grindelwald is so so hell-bent on attacking humans, attacking non-magical people. It doesn't make sense. When did the turn happen? Because if him and Dumbledore was in a relationship and they was together and they had this blood pact that they're gonna be together forever, and then we both went our separate ways because one wanted to take over the world and the other one's like, I just fine teaching wizards. And they both have the most powerful wizards of all time. How did we get there? I'm guessing the fourth movie is going to talk more about their backstory and how they got there, so like that. You know, this movie kind of laid it out that they was lovers, and Dumbledore talks about that as like, he's my boyfriend, he's my lover. I love him. I love them. So, yeah, I guess we'll get more of that later. I'm kind of mad that Tina wasn't in this movie. She was too busy to come join the party. Like, I want to see Newt and Tina really get that lashed out, and they keep playing it, like keep dragging out, like, oh, I love you, Newt, I love you, Tina, and like the moment they get to have something, they keep getting this cop block moment, and you're like, God dang it. And it happens at the end of the movie. By the way, Queenie and Jacob does get married. Queenie goes back to the good side, so they do get married. But I just want Newt and Tina to like be a thing, and I guess because we got 5 movies coming, we might see it in the 5th movie when they finally conclude everything and everybody get their clapping moment, if we even get that. But as far as the movie goes, this is definitely another middle movie for the series, and it's fine. That's my thoughts on the new Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. And if you've seen it, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you on the next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.